Hi there, I'm Sue Landsberg from Inner Happy, and I am so glad that you have joined me today for this session on self-compassion. First of all, I'd like to explain what self-compassion is. Self-compassion is about building a beautiful, loving, supportive relationship with yourself. And I'm going to tell you why that is so important. Unlike self-esteem is there, and so long as everything is going well for you and you're achieving. But what about when things go wrong, or we make mistakes, or we fail? We all know that life is full of challenges, and it is human nature to make mistakes. But then what happens to our self-esteem? It drops. It's no longer there for us, it fails us. But self-compassion is our forever friend. It's always there. And when we learn to become more loving, supportive, and nurturing to ourselves, it transforms our lives. We learn to become our own best friend and supporter. It is not dependent on how you do or what you do. It is about learning to love and accept yourself exactly as you are. And yes, it is a practice. That means it is something that we can grow and nurture. And we're going to start a little bit of that today. If you could just imagine a child in school. If that child has got some spelling wrong that they're supposed to have learnt, and they tried, but the teacher isn't very understanding and criticizes and shouts and gives out to that child for failing his spelling test, how is that child going to feel? That child is not going to thrive in that class. They're going to develop anxiety and stress about coming into that class in future, and that is going to inhibit their progress. Their sense of self-worth will be diminished and their confidence will be weakened. But that is often how we speak to ourselves when we make mistakes and we fail. That is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness makes us aware of how we speak to ourselves. Now, if that teacher spoke to that child in a different tone and manner, with words of compassion and support, that child would be motivated to do better and feel supported and understood. The outcome for that child in that class would be very different. So let's bring this back to you. When you make a mistake or fail, which remember is normal, we're all just human doing the best we can. How do you speak to yourself? What words do you use? Do you criticize and berate yourself? Or do you use words of kindness and support? And are you there for yourself? That's what we're going to look at and try and change today. When we think of self-compassion, there are 3 components to self-compassion. The first is mindfulness. Mindfulness, about being aware of how we treat ourselves, how we speak to ourselves. What is that inner voice telling you when things are good and not so good? Remember, life is messy and unpredictable, full of struggle and challenges. How are you speaking to yourself in those moments? We use mindfulness to become aware. We become aware without getting absorbed in the whole story. It's like going up in a helicopter and having a helicopter view over the situation that is going on for you, causing you stress or struggle. You are looking from a distance. When we become aware, that is when we can make changes, positive changes. The next step for self-compassion is common humanity. We recognize that we are imperfect, flawed humans. We make mistakes. It is normal. And in knowing this, it makes us feel less isolated, less alone. Knowing that we are human, just doing our best. And we will make mistakes and we will learn from them and go on. It's learning to know that that is okay and normal. Because often when we fail or feel alone, we feel so alone. We feel so isolated. We feel ashamed. Self-compassion is an antidote to this suffering. It reduces your suffering and increases your ability to bounce back from adversity. The next thing we look at is kindness. Like I had mentioned before, how do you speak to yourself when you do something wrong, or you don't feel like you're achieving like you had wanted to, or something goes wrong? Take note of how you speak to yourself. Maybe next time you'd like to write down some phrases when you use mindfulness to become aware of actually how you're speaking to yourself. Take note of how that makes you feel. And now with kindness, can we rather reframe the way we have spoken to ourselves? Can we reframe those phrases as though we are speaking to somebody we truly love and care about, or our own best friend? Would your own best friend speak to you in that way? I think not. So we need to learn to speak to ourselves in a more compassionate, supportive, and motivational way that can help us to thrive. Just like the boy in the class, we have often been led to believe that through harsh criticism, we will strive to do better. But actually, it has the adverse effect. If we use self-compassion for ourselves, when things are hard, we will bounce back quicker. We will be motivated to do better through kindness rather than through fear and inducing stress. So now we could take a few moments, and when we're in times of struggle, thinking, what do I need right now? How many times have you asked yourself that question? Globally at this time, everybody is challenged in some way or other. Many in very, very difficult circumstances. Our resilience is absolutely being tested. But by being harsh and critical on ourselves, we are just increasing our stress levels, which, as we know, leads to inflammation in the body, which can lead to disease. So being kinder to ourselves helps us to feel more relaxed and more at ease, increasing our sense of calm, our confidence, and our inner control. So we are doing ourselves a huge favor mentally, physically, and emotionally by increasing our practice of self-compassion. There are many practices that you can use throughout your day for self-compassion. But today we're just going to engage in one of those. And that is the words that you use to yourself. I would like you to take a few moments now to write down how you speak to yourself, how you recall when you went through a moderate to slightly difficult challenge recently. Nothing too difficult, nothing too stressful, just something small. Do you recall what words you used? How did you speak to yourself? What was your tone of voice like? What was your posture like? Maybe you'd like to gently close your eyes and imagine what this was like. Like I said, nothing too distressing, just something mild to moderately difficult. Were you compassionate and kind with yourself, or did you use harsh words? Would you have used those words to someone you love or your best friend? If the answer is no, then that's okay. Let's not judge ourselves because we are just becoming aware. When we're aware, we can make changes. And it is a practice. Remember, mindfulness skills and self-compassion training, it's just like any other practice. At the start, it's hard, it's difficult, it's challenging. Maybe we're not used to being so kind and nice to ourselves. Maybe it feels strange. Maybe it feels selfish. I can promise you it is not. It is quite the opposite. The kinder you are to yourself, the more your mental, physical, and emotional well-being will thrive. And then you have more to give to the world. And you will be your happiest, best possible self, living a happier, more fulfilled life. And remember, it's a practice. So just like going to the gym, it's like building those muscles up slowly. The more you repeat the practices, the stronger that mental muscle for practicing self-compassion grows. So remember, it is a practice. The more you practice, the greater the benefits that you will enjoy. But one practice we can begin with right now is one of being self-compassionate in the words we use to ourselves. Now, I always find it easier to remember to do this practice by anchoring the practice onto something you already do in your day. If you're like me, I boil the kettle for a cup of tea probably 20 times a day. Now, when I go and boil the kettle, I check in with myself. What am I saying to myself? What is my self-talk? What's it about? What's it like? Then I get into the habit of, every time I boil the kettle, I'm going to check in with myself. So maybe you would like to choose something that you do a lot in a day and take that moment to check in with your self-talk. Now, if the words you're using are harsh or are not bringing you forward, well, you may think it's not too important, but if you want something to change and you want to live your happiest, healthiest life, living to your fullest potential, reducing your stress and your anxiety, then consider changing that self-talk. Reframe, even if you don't believe it straight away, reframe those phrases. You could be saying to yourself, you fool, you failed again. The problem with those phrases is it spirals the next thought and the next thought, and we get caught up in a whole negative story that doesn't support us. It's unhelpful. So even writing down phrases that you think would be more supportive or ones that you would say to a good friend. And the more you practice doing this, the easier it will get. So what could you reframe that with? You could say, Sue, you did your best. I know you are trying your best and I'm there for you and I support you and I am there to encourage you. I'm always there for you. Reframe the words and notice how using more positive, kind, supportive words, notice how that makes you feel instead. You could get into a practice of doing this daily till you get more used to it. Another very supportive, self-compassionate tool is touch. And that is something that so many of us are missing right now. Just know that giving yourself, holding your hands, clasping your hands together, putting your hands on your heart, rubbing your arms, cradling your face, wherever feels soothing and supportive to you. Using that sense of touch to be there for yourself is very, very powerful. Giving yourself a hug for at least 20 seconds releases the same feel-good chemicals into your body, those hormones that make you feel good, just like somebody else is giving you a hug. So what it is being there for yourself. You have to live with you for the rest of your life, 24 hours a day. So we want to try and make it a good, positive, supportive, happy experience. And self-compassion will help you to do that. So we're remembering the words to use and the soothing, supportive touch. Again, it might feel strange at the start, but you will get used to it when you immediately feel the difference of how it feels to be supportive and kind to yourself. So let's recap on the 3 steps for self-compassion. Mindfulness, being aware, the one practice we are doing today, mindfulness of the words we use. We are going to use more self-compassionate phrases. When we're aware, we can make changes. What's the cost of not changing it? Your happiness, your health, your well-being. Secondly, common humanity. Everybody fails. We're human. We're all actually the same. We're not alone. And the more open and supportive we are of each other, the more connected we will feel. And then we can support each other even more. And thirdly, kindness. What words and what touch can you use to help yourself to feel more supported? Asking yourself when times are difficult, what do I need right now? That could be just sitting down for a few minutes having a cup of tea. It could be a walk in nature. It could be giving your children or your mum or your partner a hug. It could be having a few minutes silence. What do you need? A few mindful breaths. So I'd like you to write down one phrase right now that you would like to hear. That could be, I'm there for you. I support you. I love you just the way you are. One phrase that resonates with you. And we're going to use that phrase in a short practice just now. When you use this phrase, I'd like you to use it as more than just an affirmation. You're not just saying the words, you're feeling it. Notice from the heart how it makes you feel. Embody that phrase. And again, notice and reflect on the way that makes you feel. The practice we will be doing is affectionate breathing. Our breath is always there from the moment we're born till the last day on earth. Our breath is always there, but we often aren't aware of how powerful our breathing can be and how supportive it can be for our well-being. So today we're going to do an affectionate breathing exercise, and we're going to use that one kind phrase that you need to hear today. So when we're doing a breathing practice, remember there's no right or wrong way to breathe. So don't ever feel that you're doing it wrong. There's just your way. And when you're breathing in, just become aware of how the breath feels in your body. Maybe you'd like to join me now and let's do a short breathing exercise. You can sit comfortably or stand or lie on the floor, whatever is comfortable for you. The nice thing about this practice is you can use it anywhere and any time. unless you're going to lie down in the supermarket. That might not quite work. But anywhere, your breath is always there for you. So you can use it to self-calm, self-soothe. And it is very, very powerful. It's your superpower. So if you're comfortable to gently close your eyes, I invite you to do so. But if you're not comfortable, then keep your eyes open. And just become aware of your breath as you inhale. You may notice the cool air as it enters your nostrils. You may feel the air as it fills your tummy. Your tummy might inflate. And as you exhale, your tummy may deflate, and you feel the warm air exit your nostrils. Just for 2 cycles of breath, become aware of how the breath feels as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Just breathing normally. Let the rhythm of your breath be natural, easy, and calm. We're just becoming aware. And on your next inhalation, just imagining that your breath is also there to support and nurture you. And feel that inhalation, the oxygen, as it internally caresses your organs, fills your lungs. It's your supportive tool. It's always there for you. As you breathe in and as you breathe out, slow, deep, calm breathing, just becoming aware of how the breath feels in your body at this time. And just as your breath is there to support you, so is that phrase, those words of kindness that you need to hear right now. So let's repeat that phrase a few times. Let that phrase embody you, surround you. I'm there to support you. Maybe you'd like to hold a hand on your heart or any other place that is soothing, supportive touch for you. Repeat that phrase over and over again for the next 2 cycles of breath. Notice how good it makes you feel to be there for yourself, to support yourself. And maybe a gentle smile, knowing that by doing these practices, you are indeed becoming your own best friend and supporter. Noticing how good it feels to be kind to yourself. And you can continue to breathe slowly, deeply, and calmly, just becoming aware of how the breath feels in your body, knowing it's also there to support you. And in times when you're feeling anxious or stressed, knowing that you have words of kindness and the nurturing feeling of your breath to help to soothe and support you anytime you need. And when you're doing this practice, it can be as short or as long as you like. And remember, if your mind wanders off to different thoughts, just gently, compassionately, and without judgment, bring your attention back to the anchor of your awareness, which is your breath. And our thinking brain loves to think. It's always thinking. And that's okay, that's normal. But when it's thinking thoughts that are unhelpful to you, being aware of this and changing those thoughts to the words that you need to hear is a wonderful mindful exercise in bringing yourself back to where you would rather be, supporting and encouraging and nurturing yourself. Knowing you can use this practice anytime. Like I said, our mind likes to think, so give it a positive thing to think about, positive words to support you. And to remember, the happier and healthier we are by practicing self-compassion, the more we have to give those around us. So I do hope that you have enjoyed this short self-compassion practice. Remember to use it throughout your day. Anchor it onto things that you already do to support you to live a happier and healthier life, and to help you to also find your inner happy. Thank you so much for joining me today. It means so much to me to be able to share this practice with you. Bye.